All right, guys, welcome to the Digital Barbell Podcast. Thanks for being here. If you're a new listener, welcome. Like I say this all the time, but if you've been around since we started this podcast in 2020,
Wow.
it's been like, I think we're creeping up on exactly 4 years of doing this. If you've been around since then, you're amazing. Anywhere in between, you're also amazing. A lot of people just stumble upon this podcast and they're like, what is this all about? So if you're here, and this is your first time, subscribe.
Don't go back and listen to the old ones.
Well, the audio quality was pretty
just kidding.
sketchy back in the beginning. We didn't know. Like, we just went on Amazon, like podcast microphone.
The video quality, the video setups were obviously
Blakely was
ridiculous.
inspired by that Zach Galifianakis show Between Two Ferns when we first started setting up.
We're like
video.
sitting in chairs, plants all around us in this room. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. But anyway, welcome if you're here. Subscribe so you can get immersed in what this podcast is all about. We put out 2 podcasts every single week. Lately, the Monday motivation episodes have been more like a topical thing, like pulling something from a blog or a frequently asked question about training or nutrition and making it about that.
It's just a Monday topic now.
It's just a Monday topic. You can still be motivated by it.
Except I'm not on it, so they're not that fun.
They're not that motivating and they're not that fun since it's just me 99% of the time. We've got some cues from some of our clients that we're going to get to today, and then we got some other stuff that's been on our mind that we want to talk about. Podcast sponsor of the day, we're happy to welcome Street Corn to the show.
Street corn.
Okay, a little bit of backstory. We went up to Arlington, Dallas area. Was that last weekend? 2 weekends ago? 2 weekends ago. Spent some time with my dad, and then went to an Airstream only RV park out in the middle of nowhere and partook in the burger dinner. And one of the things they had on the menu was this Mexican street corn.
It's called elote.
Elote. You didn't get one. I don't know. You just missed it, I guess. But
Yeah.
it was really, really good. And Blakely had the idea, well, Memorial Day is coming up. Why don't we make that homemade?
Yeah.
You found a recipe
I found
somewhere.
a recipe. It was fantastic. I can drop the recipe somewhere for y'all to get it because it's worth trying. You have to buy quite a bit of the 2 different cheeses.
Yeah.
So you can make this, for a little bit of time or find something else to make with these cheeses. But it was fantastic. The combination of flavors that is on this thing, it's like and also like you're supposed to grill the corn to get like a char, and he didn't want to like get out the grill just for this, so we air fried it and worked fabulous. It even had the
Char
char marks on the edges. Oh, it was great. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
And I had, if you have like some of those like things you use for skewers, stab the end of the corn, and you can literally like eat it like street corn. We literally walked down to the patio, just everybody like chewing on there.
Why don't you tell
street
everybody?
corn.
Tell everybody how not to stab the corn.
Don't stab the corn on a ceramic dish without someone holding it. I broke a dish. Not the dish I was using, but something else.
Shot off the counter.
Something
and
else was full of cantaloupe. I was looking forward to eating that cantaloupe.
That's not part of the recipe, but yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Street Corn.
Yeah.
Real quick, another announcement. This is pretty much your last chance to jump in on our 45-minute or less workout program, DGTL.
I'm excited. We've got a good group. We've got a ton of people jumping in on this, and I'm excited about it. I have been personally doing the workouts, making sure that they clock in at under 45 minutes. They've all been around that 40-minute mark, which has been fantastic. I'm on week 2 personally.
Yep.
It's going to be an 8-week program, and I am loving it. It's dumbbells only. But your intensity level is up because everything is like go, 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 go. And I feel like I'm getting a ton of work in 40 minutes.
At the same time, it's not just like a hit class.
No, it's
where
not.
You're just like doing a bunch of jumping around and stuff like that. You're getting some solid strength
you're getting
and
your
muscle
squats
building.
in, you're getting your dumbbell rows in, you're getting your curls, you're getting your tricep extensions, but it's planned in a way that you can get all this done in a short amount of time. And we talked about this last week. This is definitely for a person who wants to be able to use dumbbells, wants to get 3 to 4 workouts in per week, and knows that they have a limited amount of time, and knows that they won't stay consistent with our traditional method of programming where we do say, okay, do your squats, 3 sets, or 3 or 4 sets, do your curls, do your rows, and everything is separate because yes, you are going to make more progress doing that, but you're going to make less progress if you do that and you can't stay consistent.
Amen. Yeah. Let's talk about when it starts, how much it is, and how people can find out more and join.
It starts this Monday, June the 3rd. It's $147 for all 8 weeks. Your workouts are delivered in our True Coach app. You'll have video demos, full explanations of everything that you
That's the beauty of like working with us. One of them is just like, you never have to wonder, what am I going to do? Like, you don't walk into the gym and be like, what feels good today?
Yeah.
You're never going to stay consistent like that. And this plan really was born out of the idea that people need something that they can stick with over the summer, so you don't dig yourself in a hole. All of a sudden, like, it's Thanksgiving, you haven't worked out in 3 months, you're staring down the holidays, you're like, oh my gosh, I'll just wait till next year to get back on track.
So it's set up so you can get everything in through your 3 days, but you get an optional 4th day. That 4th day will give you some bonus, usually some leg work, some maybe bicep work, and some extra long conditioning. So if you are looking for that longer conditioning piece, you're going to find that on that 4th day.
What if somebody's like, oh shoot, I have a vacation during that 8 weeks?
Good thing. We also will give you a week of vacation band only workouts.
Boom.
That you can slip into anywhere in your program and do that.
Hashtag
skip down to that
no
week and do
excuses.
that. Yeah. So it's going to be a good setup. So you'll get 9 total weeks of workouts.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
Okay, digitalbarbell.com/quick. Or just go to the show notes of this episode and you can join. You got to sign up before it starts, obviously, because it starts on Monday.
Friday. Really sign up. Try to sign up Friday or
Don't
Saturday.
make us work on the weekend, folks. Sign up Friday. This comes out on Thursday. Sign up.
Tomorrow.
Stop what you're doing. Go to the website and sign up, and we'll get you set up. If you have any questions about it, shoot Blakely or I a message on Instagram or email us. It's just our name at digitalbarbell.com.
Yeah.
And we'll answer any
It's
questions.
good. It really is a good program. And like, you're not going to be confused of what to do, like he was saying. There's going to be plenty of notes in there for you to, and I feel like that's really like, I'm not like, that's one of like, I don't usually like try to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I feel like I've seen a lot of other workout programs and I get confused by them, by the layout or by the lack of instruction.
Yeah.
And I've coached in person for so long that I feel like I can really deliver a product that without a person in the room with you, a coach, you feel like you have a coach there because you have some detailed instructions of like what's expected in your warm-up, what's expected in these work sets, what's expected in the conditioning.
Some of these workout programs, they invent the craziest exercises. I think
not only just exercise invention, but just no direction at all. Like, do you
do 10 of these,
like
do
5
10
by
of these.
10, and I have to look up what the exercise is, and that's all it gives me. Like, what's the
what's the idea here?
What's the idea?
5 by 10. What? Like, why? What weight? Like, how hard should I push? Yeah. Anyway.
Confusing less program.
That's right. All right. So that's in the books. Let's move on to some of the questions. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right. I'm going to read.
Oh wait, I was going to give a little recap because we're down. We're here at the end of May. And we said that we were going to take a stand on our local grocery store, HEB, because we were spending way too much money on groceries. And here we are at the end of May. And on May 9th, we caved and we went to the HEB. But
we're weak.
You guys don't understand. It's for where we currently live out here in the sticks. It's the grocery store. And to get to we wanted to try to go all month of May at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's is a 45-minute drive from our house. Mm-hmm. So 45 minutes there, whatever it takes to shop. You can probably shop in 30 minutes at a Trader Joe's. 45 minutes back.
It's a long
May
time.
9th, I was like, I need groceries and I don't have
I'm hungry.
2.5 hours to spend at the grocery store. I'm going to HEB. And so
I think we did one trip to Sprouts and one
That's because we were out of town.
Yeah. And we blew the budget.
We blew the budget. It was even more expensive than the month I was upset about, which was April. So
and we ate out at restaurants more than we normally do.
Yeah, we had a lot of visitors. So yeah, I don't know. Groceries are out of control. I really do want to do like a solid month where we only go to Trader Joe's. Maybe we can move into Austin for a month and just stop there. For the experiment.
We're gonna rent an Airbnb for a month in Austin and see how that offsets the grocery expense.
Anyway, just wanted to let everybody know if they were expecting some updates on our groceries. It didn't happen.
Do you want to give a quick, we're both distracted by my screensaver on my computer over there, but we did Murph this week. It's the Memorial Day Murph.
Sore. I get really sore today's Wednesday. We did this on Monday. Like the second day after I've done something is my sorest day.
Yeah.
I'm like, it hurt to put on deodorant. It hurt to pump the soap on the soap dispenser.
Yeah. Show everybody your hands.
Yeah, my hands are
She tore both hands doing pull-ups. I get sore much quicker. I was sore that night. Yeah, you were sore
that day. I'm like, I feel fantastic. I'm so fit.
My biceps, lats, and chest are definitely still sore. I didn't get a chance to work out yesterday, but I'm going to start to work out some of that soreness today.
I did a workout yesterday, and it started with like the warm up of push-ups, and I literally was like, I'm like almost in tears over here. I cannot do this, and you just really have to like start to moving your body, and you can, like, when you're working out, you're less sore than you ever will be the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's true.
After you get warm, it's rough getting into it, but if you just start to move your body, you're like, oh, I feel better moving.
We have a podcast talking about like what should you do when you're sore.
Yeah.
So if I can think of it, I will find that and link it in the show notes. All right, that's the Murph recap. Oh yeah,
right.
This was my first year doing it with a weight vest.
Yeah.
So that was a big challenge.
Yeah, I've pretty much done it like every single combination ways that you can do it. We've figured out, like, I've done it regularly for the past 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only maybe 2 years that I missed due to like injuries.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy. I think it's cool that there's some, to be able to repeat this and see different times. And, I've done it like all the different ways, like with a vest, without a vest, partitioned, unpartitioned, whatever.
Double Murph.
Yeah. So he did the vest and I was really proud of you. You're like, it's rough.
It was a different animal.
You want to get that thing off of your body.
Yeah. Those push-ups were a different animal, and just the pressure on my chest the whole time. And I have a rash on my back now from the vest rubbing me. Feel sorry for me. Okay. Bernie sent in this question. He said, what about power development as we age? Should active agers be including plyos and power exercises like box jumps, jump rope, agility ladder, squat jumps, etc.? How much and what are the pros and cons? What are good ones and variations?
Nice.
Really good question. If you guys don't know Bernie, he's been on our podcast before. He's one of our masters level athletes. Blakely coaches him. He's 73, I think, 73 or 74.
73. Don't age him.
And he does all kinds of amazing things. He routinely goes outside the scope of his program and just shows off the things that he wants to do for the gram. And we're all just like, we've got our jaw dropped.
Yeah.
But it's a good question. Like, maybe he knows what power means. Maybe everybody listening to this doesn't. So you have strength and you have speed. Strength is your ability to produce force against an external resistance. Speed is your ability to move quickly in space. Power is your ability to express the strength that you have quickly. So if you look at an Olympic weightlifter who can take 300 pounds from the floor, and it's kind of slow coming off the ground, as soon as it gets to their hips, before you know it, the bar is completely over their head and they're in the bottom of a squat. That's power. They displayed their strength quickly. So scaling that back to the everyday athlete, we practice power because we need power as we get older. We need to be able to take the strength that we have and display it quickly because it keeps us safe from injury.
Yep. Just thinking about like walking along a sidewalk, a small trip. Power is displayed by you being able to just like stutter step and catch yourself very quickly versus like if you could not move your leg quickly, falling would be the other option.
Or even in everyday life, like taking a pallet of water, getting it up to your chest, like that takes expressing the strength that you have to lift that quickly. You have to be able to move safely through space against a heavy load quickly. So this doesn't just happen naturally. You just don't develop power naturally. You have to build the strength, and then you have to practice the skill of expressing that strength quickly. And if you don't do this, it's just naturally going to decline over time. And this is the thing that leads to decreased coordination. Power is really just like you expressing your coordination too. This causes, like I said, you lose your balance. You don't have the ability to get your foot out quickly to recenter yourself or fall forward, or you step off a curb that you didn't think was there. You're not anticipating that drop. I'm sure this happened to everybody. That's a scary thing.
It is.
If you have no ability to express the strength of your leg to get out there quickly and catch yourself, you're going down. And that's, everybody knows, like, you break a hip in your 70s, like that's, pretty much a death sentence. Yeah.
So the alternative is just being strong, but not being able to display that power, which in those occasions does not do you any favors.
Right. So we have to train this. It's just, you're not really born with it. Some people are more, quote, athletic and they can train power easily. But to Bernie's point here, like, what kind of things should we be doing? We have to look at like where somebody's starting. Obviously, plyometrics he mentioned. That's like, things like jumping a rope. There's all kinds of things like doing a push-up where your hands come off the ground or changing directions. Those are all good things. We just want to make sure that we're scaling whatever plyometric power expression we're training somebody with to their current ability level, so that it's not something that puts them at increased risk. You have to look at the risk reward trade-off too. Like, what's the reward of Bernie being able to do a 24-inch box jump? Not a lot. But if we can get him to jump onto an 8 or 10-inch plate, he's still expressing power, but in a much safer manner that doesn't put him at increased risk. So
I believe he has I think it's a 12 to a 14 inch padded box, which I love. That is, first of all, it's padded, and he can jump onto that. And so he displays his power in his workouts very well by doing a lot of these movements.
Right.
Very well.
But like you said, like simple things that tie power expression and coordination together, like jumping a rope, that's a great low risk thing to do. Very important to do. We also like to train power using weights, even with our master's level clients, through things like dumbbell hang cleans, which is where you're holding the weights at your thighs, you jump, you drop under it, and you catch them. Like that moment where you're expressing power is training it. And power expression is really a neurological thing too. So if you don't, like, you have to develop the muscle coordination through training too. So you're not just like doing those things to get stronger and quote practice, but you're training your brain to talk to your muscles and make them do what you want them to do quickly when you need them to do it. He said, what are good ones and variations? Everything that you said is good. I mean, you said box jumps, jump rope, agility ladder, squat jumps, that kind of stuff. We just have to look at people's limitations. Like, you know, if somebody's already dealing with like arthritic joints or something like that, we might not have them do jumping squats or things like that. Or lunges, but yeah. So how important is it? It's really, really important. And that's the reason that we include it, even all the way to clients who are in their 70s.
And no matter your age, we are all aging athletes. We're all, like you said, we had a podcast with something, athletes of aging.
We're athletes of aging.
And so the more you are aged, the more it holds true that it is literally like a use it or lose it situation with a lot of these things. So if he is comfortable jump roping, if he is comfortable jumping on a box, doing lunges, keep doing those things until you absolutely cannot, because you want to hold on to all of these abilities that you're able to do right now and not just let them go because you're not sure why, you should be doing them anymore. Yeah,
like we've talked about many, many times, and Darren Deaton and I talked about this on last week's episode. The more of a buffer you can build up in your health and your fitness, the further you are away from any setback in life, taking you back. Like, let's say that in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're still able to do a burpee. I know some people hate burpees, but if you think about it, you're dropping down to the floor under control, you're catching your own body weight, and then you're really expressing power by popping yourself back up off the ground. If you can do that, how much more likely are you to be able to catch yourself in a fall? So, it's not about necessarily like just using burpees because they're hard, which we'll talk about later, or using them as a conditioning piece, but things like that can be a way to train power too.
Yeah.
What else?
That was a great question.
I'm also so proud of our clients in their 70s that sometimes we will program scaled burpees for some of our master's clients. And we'll put the video for scaled and regular burpees in there. You'd be surprised how many of them see that as a challenge and they do regular burpees.
Which, back to what you were talking about catching yourself on a fall, being able to do burpees well into your years is such a great way to if you do fall, catch yourself without even breaking like a wrist or anything. Like doing those burpees, you are strengthening your forearms, you're strengthening your wrist. Your body is used to getting down on the floor quickly and catching yourself. Yeah. But the alternative is you fall, your arm is not strong enough for that, and you usually will break.
It's the first time you've been exposed to that stress. There's no resilience to that built up.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think Greg Glassman has a really cool video about the reason for burpees. I'd like to try to find it and link it because it's very inspiring, because he talks all about it being like you catching yourself for a fall. Yeah.
I get so sick of like influencers out there that just like, I have never once programmed a burpee for my clients, or this is the most useless exercise ever. I have a lot less respect for people who say that like as a blanket statement and put that out there to like just further the misunderstanding of why we do things like that. It's not about the burpee always, but anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that. Okay.
We have a second question.
Another good question sent in by our client, Wilson. I don't think we usually say people's names on this podcast. This is a big step.
Maybe they didn't want to be known.
Oh, I take that back. Take that out, producer. Okay, differences in benefits and results between hypertrophy sets, for example, doing 3 to 4 hard sets targeting a single muscle group, versus something like a combined ladder set where the weight is light, but you're moving continuously for a longer period of time. For example, doing a circuit of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, blah, 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 of curls and push-ups. So if you've never done like a ladder like that, basically you do 10 of each exercise, 9 of each exercise. All the way down the ladder, trying to rest as little as possible.
So he's asking, what's the benefit of doing that with 2 exercises mashed together versus just basically doing just the curls by themselves and then just the push-ups by themselves, right?
Yeah, basically. What is the difference in results?
And benefits.
Yeah. So he's calling like the hard sets, like your hypertrophy sets. Like I'm going to do 3 hard sets of bicep curls because I'm trying to grow and strengthen my biceps. So let's just put a caveat to this whole conversation. Like if you're new to structured training or following a resistance training program, anything is going to give you results as far as like muscle growth and strength gains. You're going to make progress with either approach.
Yeah.
So
I was just thinking though, sometimes it's hard to define new. Like what would new be? Like new could mean you are new to working out, like for the structured workout program for the first time in your life, maybe. New could mean
you've done just conditioning.
You have, done just something like I was a runner or a biker or something like that. I've only done conditioning, not exposed myself to weights. New could be, I used to do this stuff and 3 years have passed.
Yeah.
And I haven't done any structured training since.
New could be you've only done like exercise in the form of yoga, Pilates, HIIT classes, Orange Theory, that kind of stuff.
But then I was also thinking about like, when do you stop being new? Like if you have started following a structured training program, like, and you're 6 months in, when you're a year in, when you're 2 years in. We
link to our newbie gains episode down below. For most people, the newbie gains.
I just think that might be a question someone has.
Yeah. I mean, for most people, it's a fair question. Like somewhere in the 6 to 12 month range is like when you start to kind of tap out on the most rapid progress that you're going to make, where like you can't just do anything and see progress. Yeah. So that's a caveat out there.
Yeah.
If you're new to this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter. Do whatever's going to make you the most consistent overall. The difference in results, especially in hypertrophy, between the two approaches of doing your 3 hard sets with adequate rest between each set and doing a mashup type of thing, is you're going to make more progress with the strictly, bro hypertrophy approach.
Do your curls, rest 2 to 3 minutes between each set.
Right.
Do
because the goal
3 to 5 sets of that.
For muscle growth,
you
need mechanical tension, you need a lot of metabolic stress, you need muscle damage, and the absolute best way to do that is to be able to put in 100% effort into each set, and the only way to do that is have adequate rest between sets, where it wasn't like you were just, your heart rate was too elevated, you were out of breath, or you just had too much metabolite buildup in the muscle to keep going. So
why would Digital Barbell ever program a ladder if it's not the most effective way to train?
So we use stuff like, you should answer this because you're the master programmer, but we use it for a couple of reasons. To keep it interesting, to add extra volume during the week, and to shorten people's workouts.
It might not be that might not be your set of heavy curls for the week. You might have done 3 to 4 sets of heavy barbell curls earlier in that week. And this is like on day 4 where you're doing a curl ladder to gain extra volume on your curls that day.
And I think like it's worth saying, like our approach to training is to combine strength training, bodybuilding, and conditioning, knowing that like to get the most bang for your buck out of the bodybuilding section of it, you need to hit a total number of sets on each muscle group throughout the week. So when you sit down to write the weekly programming, you have that in mind. So you structure it in a way that you're going to hit all the number of hard sets that you need during the week, but not necessarily just doing 3 by 8 to 5, 5 to 8, 3 by whatever, like making it in a more fun way. So,
it keeps it, number one, it's boring to do it that way. If that's all we did, we wouldn't have to sell programming, because it would just be like, here's the template, do this forever. But most of us wouldn't do that forever. So number one, most of us would get bored. Number two, most of us don't have unlimited time in the gym. So we're all trying to get in and out and get the most effective workouts that we can. But like I said, when we were talking about this new digital DGGL program, like there's a lot of ladders and things like that in there. Because like I said, consistency will always outbeat doing something for the most efficient way. So if you cannot spend an hour plus in the gym 5 times a week getting this stuff in, then it's not the program for you, or it's not effective for you, even though that might be the most effective way to train.
Exactly. So,
and also, like we were talking about before, we know Wilson. Anytime we put up his pictures, I say I taught him everything he knows. I've been working out with him for a long time, and he's an advanced trainee.
Yeah.
So he might look at something like a ladder and be like, "Why am I doing this ladder?"
Yeah.
But for the same reasons, like I've been training with him over the best part of 15 years now, and he's been training consistently for that time. And I think a lot of it has to do with he can get in and get his stuff in the gym and not spend all day and not be bored.
That's a great point.
And he's in the best shape of his life.
Yeah.
Because digital barbell. Just kidding.
True story, testimonial. But like, let's say, like, think about it in like seasons of your life. If you know that doing, your traditional bodybuilding is the most quote optimal way to do it, but you don't have the motivation to do it for a season of your life because you're going through something tough, or you got a bunch of stuff on your plate and you're barely squeaking out your 3 workouts per week. You can maintain all the progress that you've made. Just reset your expectations to be like, all right, I'm going to make things a little bit suboptimal right now, and I'm just going to maintain at this level. That's completely fine because it keeps you in the routine of training.
And that's the benefit of having like coaches or somebody that's writing your programming to help you guide you through like the seasons in your life and the seasons of years,
the days of your lives.
That is exactly why we change up our programming through the seasons, so that like summer is a busy season for most people.
Yeah. So
we like to try to keep things shorter. Whenever we're winter, when we have like usually we call it like
we got our winter coats on,
excess food around from the holidays. We do like to do more hypertrophy training to where we know people are eating a little bit more, most likely.
Let's make some gains.
Let's make some gains during this time.
Right. I love it.
All right.
That was the only cues that we pulled out for this episode. I haven't looked at the clock to see where we're at. Why don't I read this quote from James Clear real quick?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll kick off this other discussion. If you guys don't know who James Clear is, he's the dude who wrote Atomic Habits.
Okay.
All right. Your identity emerges out of your habits. You're not born with preset beliefs. Every belief, including those about yourself, is learned and conditioned through experience. More precisely, your habits are how you embody your identity. When you make your bed every day, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you write each day, you embody the identity of a creative person. When you train each day, you embody the identity of an athletic person.
Wow.
I think that's what we're always trying to preach around here is like, we're not selling people just programs or diet plans or whatever, nutrition coaching. We're selling you a change in your identity.
Exactly.
Because that's really what it takes.
That's bold.
To get and maintain the results that you want. And that's it's hard for people to wrap their mind around sometimes, because we live in this culture where it's like, what is the thing I can do temporarily to get this result that I want with my health and fitness? And then I'll figure out how to maintain it.
I was about to say, ironically, you want that goal to be maintained forever. You don't want it to be just like, I want this goal and then I want it to go away.
Right.
But you want it to happen quickly with as little effort as possible.
Right. But it
and
takes
then figure out how to make it last after that.
I mean, I've had phone consults with people where they're like, I just want to lose the weight and then I'll figure out how to keep it off. Or I just want to like get in shape for this wedding and then I'll figure out how to maintain it afterwards. Yeah. They're never getting to a place where they're like doing what he suggests here and like embodying the habits of the new version of themselves that has already reached that goal that they want. You kind of have to go through this like mind exercise. Like, where do I want to be when I've reached the goal that I have, when I'm at the level of body fat that I want to be, when I'm as strong as I want to be, when I'm as confident as I want to be? What is the identity of that future version of myself? And what does that version of myself do every single day? Those are the new habits you have to adopt permanently.
When I think about that, it doesn't even make sense for anything else other than, I don't know why it even makes sense for weight loss, but people think it can be like, weight loss can be a immediate thing for some reason, or
a permanent thing,
but like I can just drop 30 pounds in 30 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's one of these things where we can just like make something happen. But if we were like, I want to be able to run a 6.5 minute mile, but I'm currently at 10, I can't just make it happen. I have to work for that. Like there's nothing else that I can think of where we could just like snap our fingers and be like, I want this to be, I want to be making $1 million by this time next year. I'm currently making 10,
There's no
like shortcut for most things. So I'm not sure why the concept of like a shortcut for weight loss is even a thing.
It's because you can temporarily change your behaviors and restrict yourself enough to get pretty drastic results. But it always backfires because there was never that identity shift and like a decision to permanently change the behaviors that got you into the shape you were in before you adopted these new temporary set of restrictive behaviors or whatever. I don't even want to call them habits because they're not habits. They're just a list of things that you're following while you're, quote, on the diet.
Yeah.
I think it's like a big misconception around like people who appear to be fit and healthy all the time, that they're like sticking to a set of rules. Like, we get comments all the time like, oh, you're not going to eat that. Like you're in good shape, or like, you probably don't eat this, or you guys are obsessed with working out or whatever. But it's not about like us not doing a certain thing or you not doing a certain thing. It's just like having an identity that whose like daily habits and actions line up with the thing that got us into the shape that we are. Like we prioritize activity. It's just who we are. Like if we have a choice to sit around or be active, our choice is to be active by default. It's not a temptation to sit around. Like we know the foods that make us feel good, and it's our habit to eat those foods mostly all the time. We're not sticking to a list of things that we do or we don't do. We just have the habits, and our clients that have kept their results have the habits that line up with the version of themselves that they want to be.
I remember when in the gym, we used to have habit challenges a lot.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see people's different challenges. I think you could, write them up on the board, and then I can't remember how it went, but a lot of them that reminded me of were about making the bed, and that is a great habit. Like it said, it's the first thing you do in the morning, and what did he say? It makes you an organized person.
Yeah.
But it probably leads into other parts of your life, where if you make your bed, then maybe there's other things, you might do something else that you are not doing.
Yeah.
Now. Like, okay, now making my bed is easy because I don't even think about it anymore. I have become a person that makes my bed,
You believe that about yourself now. It's just like who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about believing in the future version of yourself enough to buy into the things that it's going to take to be that person. Like, do you believe that you are that person?
Yeah.
Whew.
Woo.
Some tough stuff. What about transition, hard step on the clutch and shift? We were talking about this in the pool on Memorial Day about the what is the little note? What was the little term?
The micro benefits.
The micro benefits of, is it training or just exercise?
Yeah, either way.
Yeah. I guess this ties into this a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like training yourself to do hard things, basically. And we're specifically talking about like doing hard workouts that you're afraid to do or are hard to do in the moment, right?
Yeah, and I think that this is concept that is thrown around. We say it a lot. A lot of people say like doing hard things makes you a stronger person, not just physically but mentally. But I think that I was trying to think of a way to actually. Someone was asked me about it. Like, how would I explain that to them? Because I think it's this concept that maybe some people hear, but maybe don't understand how it would work or believe it yet. So I was trying to think of the micro benefits of even doing hard things and what. And the main benefit to me is the conversations that you have with yourself. We just did that workout Murph, and that you end up, with an hour of conversations with yourself. And I really can't think of anywhere else in life where you get to do this on a daily or weekly basis. When you're faced with something difficult is when you really you do have these conversations with yourself about, do I continue? Do I stop? Maybe I'll just do half. I don't like doing this. Why am I doing this? There's so many things that go through your head and so many reasons to stop what you're doing. And every time you don't stop what you're doing, it's like a win. It's like this deposit in this your mindset bank over here of oh, I just won that challenge with myself. And you're proving to yourself every time how much stronger you can be, how much stronger you can be. I mean, I do it all the time with myself. And I think people think that oh, we just love to work out.
It's always easy.
It's always easy. It's not always easy. And I literally have these micro conversations with myself weekly, you know, and I'll be like, it just happened the other day. I was running around doing something. It's hot outside. And I was like, okay, I'll just do this. And then as soon as I stepped over, which was less than what I was supposed to do. But what does it matter if I just do, 4 laps instead of 6? As soon as I step over the line on that 5th lap, it's a victory.
Yeah.
Because I didn't let myself quit. And there might be some times when you do let yourself quit, but then you're going to get that chance again in the next workout to have that same conversation with yourself.
Yeah. It's like this is probably another James Clear line, but it's like a vote for yourself every time you're tempted to give up on yourself or compromise what you said you were going to do, and you stick with it somehow. It's like proof to yourself that next time you feel that resistance, you can look back and be like, hey, I can do this. I proved to myself before. And,
like I said, I can't think of other places in my life where this happens to me regularly. It might happen, I don't know, like you're doing something hard, like you're doing something that is not comfortable or you don't want to do. Like maybe you have a doctor's appointment that you don't want to go to, or there's, a long road trip
or a project at work.
Yeah. Like there could be like these other pieces for sure that you have these conversations, but like, you don't get it daily or weekly on a regular basis like you do when you train regularly and do hard things regularly. And
like when we do feel that resistance in other areas of our life, like uncomfortableness doing stuff, but like let's say there's like this uncomfortable thing at work or this hard task you have to do like once a month at work, and you just hate doing it, but you're going to do it and you're going to get your paycheck probably pretty soon. Or there's this, I don't know, there's something you don't like doing, going on the trip. Like you want to go on a vacation, but man, you got to drive 12 hours to get there, and it's going to stink. Like you're going to have to go to these gas stations, use the bathroom, and they're going to be gross, and you're going to have to eat all this weird stuff on the road. But in 12 hours, you're going to be on vacation for a week. You're getting a pretty immediate payoff for going through the discomfort. Not the case with physical exercise. Besides the mental benefit of getting through the moment, you're still going to look the same when you take your shirt off after you do that hard workout that you didn't want to do. Even next week, do it again. You're still going to look the same. Like the payoff for doing the hard thing is much further with exercise, which I think makes it easier if you don't have that self-belief in yourself built up over time, just to be like, what does it matter if I quit this one?
Yeah.
But then what you're doing is you're reinforcing the habit, and you're discounting the belief in yourself that you can do the hard thing, and you're actually practicing giving up, which means you're going to continue to get better at giving up in the future.
Yeah, I mean, personally, like I grew up as a person riddled with anxiety, like super shy, super anxious person. And until I started doing hard things regularly, I feel like I have made a switch in my mindset. And I honestly challenge myself to try to do hard things more often, not just workout related. Like it sounds silly, but for me, the fact that we even own an RV and that we do travel like we do is beyond my scope sometimes, because I'm like, I don't like to travel. I don't like vacations. I don't like getting out of my routine. Like it's not comfortable for me. I've never once let's go here. Looks fun on paper. Gets down to the wire of leaving. I have never ever wanted to go anywhere. And it's the truth, and he knows it. We've been turned around many times from an airport. Like it's not something that I like to do, but I know we're booking a darn trip in the summer in the RV. Like I know that it makes me a stronger person, in that I will get both experiences that I enjoy. I will see things I've never seen, and I will go through hard times with myself and be stronger on the other side. Yeah. But it's so
you're able to see out into the future and know if I go ahead and commit to this thing and see it through, I'm going to get the benefit.
I'm going to get the benefit. And I think I'm able to do that more than I used to be able to. Like I used to not want to do anything like that, I think
this even we have a podcast on this, but even when you used to struggle to be able to eat in public for fear of getting a stomach ache and stuff like that.
Yeah. I just and I really do always contribute it to doing hard things and burpees and things like that. But it has made me a stronger person, both physically and mentally. And I have done way more things than I ever thought I would. You know, if I asked myself like 20 years ago, like, would you own a trailer? Would you travel around? Would you
have started your own business?
Would you have started my own business? Would you do a lot of things? Like we kind of have a joke with a set of mutual friends of ours, and we call it like the stacked parking incident. We were on a trip with them only because they invited us. Like we never like would, before we had a trailer, we never went on any vacations, and I didn't go on vacations growing up, but like we didn't go, we would purposely like seek out going somewhere. Right. But if friends invited us, we'd be like, we should go, you know, or I would be like, we should go because I know I need to do things like this. Anyway, we went to California and we went to a Dave Matthews? A Dave Matthews concert at the like famous
Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah. And it's like up, like through the Hollywood Hills, up like on top of a hill, a mountain or whatever that is. And you drive your car up. This is like 2009. Really? Yep. We lived in Tennessee then.
No, it was September 2009.
Okay. You drive up the Hollywood Bowl, and then they just like have traffic directors and say like, just drive down as far as you can and then stop. And I'm like,
in
what?
The parking lot.
I was actually driving, and I was just like, what? And literally they just stack all the cars in, pointing down the hill. And then you have to wait till everybody leaves. They're like picturing the whole concert getting out and everybody leaving and leaving at once. I freaked out. Yeah. Like I freaked out. The only people I knew in California were the 3 people in the car with me. I couldn't call my mom to come pick me up if I needed something. Like I was like, it freaked me out to like be in the car. I didn't enjoy the concert. Anyway, we joke about that all the time because that kind of thing wouldn't bother me.
It's major anxiety.
The thing I was like, this is a Dave Matthews concert. People are going to be like...
You're going to be smoking doobies over here.
And hanging out all night. We're never going to get our car out of here. Obviously, we made it.
Here we are 15 years later.
But anyway, that's like one of my like inside jokes with them is the stacked parking. Like stacked parking doesn't bother me anymore.
But that's a good example. Like we're talking about, pushing through a hard workout, but we've said this before, like everybody has their own hard thing. Like, so it's not about what's hard for us or what's hard. It's hard. It's about what's hard for you. Like face those hard things, build your mental resiliency and come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
Let's give a couple. Oh, go ahead.
Well, my whole point of that, referencing it to vacations being hard is because I think that like I now see other things as hard as like I want to do that challenge. Yeah. I used to not be like no, I don't want to do anything that's challenging, and now I'm like I'll take on that challenge. Yeah,
good point.
Anyway,
why don't we give some people some practical advice back on the exercise front for like getting through a hard thing, like maybe some tricks that you use to push through hard things. And I'll just throw out one here at the beginning. Like, I mean, for me, probably the hardest thing about working out is just getting started on days that I'm really not motivated. So I would just really recommend if somebody who struggles with motivation to do a workout, commit to doing the warm up, because there's nothing that will make you more motivated to do your workout is if you've done the warm up. It's easy to think like, I'm not that motivated, I'm going to skip the warm up
and go right to the work.
But it's actually counterproductive to fueling your motivation. Something happens with the endorphin release in your body when you start moving, you start getting a little bit warm. The motivation kicks in just from doing the warm up. And if you're even like struggling to do the warm up, do a couple planks. Literally, you're in an isometric position, just doing nothing. Do a couple suitcase holds where you're holding a heavy weight with one hand. That's going to do the same thing. It's going to start to challenge your muscles, start to tell your body that you're exercising, raise your temperature. It's going to trick you into being like, okay, maybe I am ready.
I remember when we used to live in Idaho and it was so cold. You used to do that just to warm yourself up. You'd be bundled up, beanie cap jackets, and just like holding a kettlebell, and you're like warming your body up.
Go stand in front of the heater with a heavy kettlebell in one hand, and suddenly you're like, okay, I'm starting to get warm. I can do this. And
there's nothing worse than starting like if you skipped the warm up and starting like say your first thing was like a heavy deadlift. Like as soon as you touch that bar the first time, you're gonna be like, oh no, I'm not working out today. Right. Like if that's the first thing you do, it's gonna feel awful. If you've gone through 3 rounds of squats and push-ups and sit-ups and some jumping jacks, you're slightly warm when you get to that barbell. It's not gonna feel as awful as it would have before.
And if you do quit after the warm-up, at least you did something.
Yeah, at least you got 30 reps or so of push-ups and squats in. Right. That is one of the micro benefits of a workout is those bonus reps that you get in a warm-up.
Yeah. What about some of your tricks that you use to push through it?
I have a lot of tricks I do use with counting. So I always try to do like my biggest set of anything first. And even if it's not separated into sets, the way I count, I separate.
Let's be specific on this, because we're talking about a conditioning workout, not just like doing a set of back squats.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Well, anything like if it was a set of 21 burpees in a row, I'm trying to think of like where it makes sense.
What if it was like 3 rounds for time of 21 kettlebell swings, 21 goblet squats, something like that?
I'm trying. Okay, so my first example is like how I count when I do have to rest. If I have to break something up, I always do the largest set first. So for example, if it was 21 and I could do like at least 10, I would try for 11 in my first set, take a rest, and then either do 10 or do like 5-5. But I always try to get like a big set done first.
Over 50% before you
Over
rest.
50%, and always be like chipping down. Honestly, like the 21-15-9 rep scheme is great for that, because if you were doing 45 reps, you could break it up like that. You can do 21 and then do 15 and then do 9, and every time you're like, I can do 9, I just did 15. I can do 15, I just did 21. And that just like helps you. Even if it's not you're stopping, sometimes I will just count in weird ways so that I can like feel like I'm like getting ahead. I don't know.
I'm going to do all 15 in a row, but I'm going to count 10-5.
Yeah.
I'm going to go count the 10, start over at 5.
Or like if it's something like lunges or something that's like every other body part, like rows or lunges or something like that, I will go like 1 and 2, and if it was 20 lunges in a row, I would count to 10 with 1 and 2 and 3 and, so that I'm only counting to 10. And if it was 3 rounds, I would count differently every time, because the first time you do that, it works. The second time you do that, it's not as fun.
You're onto yourself.
So maybe the second time you just count straight through to 20 and you're like, oh, okay. And then the third time, maybe you count to 5 4 times. You do like sets of 5, sets of 5, sets of 5, sets of 5. And so I like do little things like that just to get myself through reps.
But Blakely, counting is hard. I can't count.
Count is another micro benefit of exercise. And I used to run into this all the time owning a gym of people telling me that they can't count when they're tired.
Who does their budget?
It's not like any of us are like, oh, I'm so good at counting when I'm out of breath. Like, I'm sorry that you don't have that skill, but I am so good at it. No, it's something that you have to try, and something that you have to practice. And it would drive me crazy. And I would like, you are counting this. You can count this. You can use beads. You can use whatever you can, but you need to keep track of this because it helps you in other parts of your life. And it's like, it's silly. It's like, you don't even think like, no, it doesn't. It does. It really helps you. Like, I'm so good at counting stuff now. Like I
just catch her over in the living room 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
or
6.
just like keeping track of something. If someone tells you their phone number quickly, like it helps you with like your short-term memory.
You know where you like honed this skill? Memorizing SKUs at Foot Locker and like knowing how much the total was going to be with tax.
And knowing how many hangers I needed for a big pile of clothes I had to hang up. I still have that skill. I will be laying out our laundry and I'll just look at the pile and I'll go in and grab 11 hangers, not counting the shirts. There's exactly 11 shirts. Like it's like usually like every single time. Still, we were at Foot Locker like 20 years ago.
I think it's her greatest quality, honestly, the hanger guessing.
But anyway, the counting really is a little micro benefit of exercise and it's something that you use in the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It just helps you, I don't know, it helps you like with your concentration, like I said, with your short-term memory, with like different ways to count, different ways to track stuff. Like what's the best method for you? Is the best method like sets of 5? Is the best method having like doing a set of 5 and then pushing a little like washer or penny over towards you or however it is. And like you'll learn things about yourself when you do these little tricks and you learn what works best for you.
You're like Fitness Rain Man. Let's go count some cards at the casino after this.
All right, that's all I've got.
Quick reminder before we wrap this episode up, join DGTL in 45. All this stuff that we're talking about is how we help our clients with nutrition, with training, with mindset, and get a firsthand experience of what our training method is like in this program. I promise you there is not going to be an easier way to get working with us than this program. Join for the summer, see what you think. You won't regret it. this is your first time listening, make sure you subscribe so you get more of these episodes. If you have a question that you'd like answered on the podcast, shoot us a message on the socials and we'll mix it in the next time we do this. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of your day.